Next on Currents News, married men becoming priest is getting strong backing at the end of the Amazon summit. The recommendation is now in the hands of the Pope. There's a new terror boss of ISIS tonight. He's known as the Destroyer. And chaos is erupting in California as out-of-control wildfires and hurricane-force winds are ravaging the state.
A special mass celebrated in Latin to pray for the canonization cause of a Brooklyn priest who helped Black Catholics. I'm Tim Harfman, and I'll have the story.
Plus, Catholic kids in Brooklyn are putting on a great display of love for World Priests Day. The news starts right now. Good evening, I'm Tamara Lane. The Pope's big Amazon summit is now wrapped up, and the ordination of married men as priests could soon be a reality. If approved by Francis, it would mark a historic change to Catholic tradition. Melissa Butts is standing by in St. Peter's Square with the latest. Melissa?
Yes, well, the Synod on the Amazon is officially over, but there's still controversy. The Synod bishops voted overwhelmingly for married men as priests, but women deacons are needing further study. Married Men as Priests, a group to study an Amazonian rite, and reinstituting a commission to study the possibility of women as deacons. These are just 3 of 120 points published in the final document from the Amazon Synod. The conclusions were voted on point by 181 voting Synod fathers, most coming from the Amazon region. The proposal on married priests received widespread backing. 128 of the Synod fathers voted in favor, with only 41 against. On the topic of ordaining women as deacons, the summit decided against that for now. Pope Francis says he will reopen a 2016 commission to study the issue of women deacons and how females may have other opportunities to serve the church.
Asumo el pedido de rellamar a la comisión o quizás abrirla con nuevos miembros para seguir estudiando cómo existía en la iglesia primitiva el diaconado permanente.
The final document of the summit does endorse an Amazonian rite, which incorporates local traditions of the rainforest into the church's liturgy. The Holy Father's creating a new commission in the Vatican department. They will be exploring how to include the culture and symbols of the Amazon's indigenous. Defense of life and land, cultural conversion, pastoral and youth ministries, and integral conversion are also a main part of the final document. Well, this final document was born from the votes carried out by the bishops inside the Synod Hall. Pope Francis announced to them all that he would still like to write an apostolic exhortation to reflect on his ideas and thoughts from the whole Synod. And we'll see, he said that he even would like to have this finished before the end of the year. At the Vatican, Melissa Butts, Currents News. Back to you, Tamara.
Melissa, the question about married priests in the Amazon received a clear-cut vote. Was there any suggestion to expand the idea beyond the Amazon? And what else was concretely decided at the summit?
Well, the idea for married priests, just like there were some who opposed the idea, I'm sure there were some inside who also would like the idea expanded. But let's remember the final document is all full of proposals. So it's not a magisterial document. It wasn't written by the Pope. The Pope didn't even vote on it. So that's where the apostolic exhortation will come into play, and we'll see exactly what the Pope thinks after he has reflected on the final document. Tamara?
Thank you. Melissa Butts reporting from the Vatican.
Thank you.
Support for studying the possibility of women deacons is coming from San Diego Bishop Robert McElroy. He's one of 2 American clerics who participated in the summit. He's saying the only reason to block ordaining women is if Catholic doctrine prevented doing so.
What has come out so far indicates that the permanent diaconate for women is not clearly prohibited by doctrinal consideration.
Bishop McElroy added that he favors opening any ministry in the church to women that's not prohibited by doctrine. Ordaining married men to the priesthood would be a major change to Catholic tradition, even if only in the Amazon region. The national correspondent for the Tablet and Crux, Christopher White, is also standing by at the Vatican. He joins us now. Christopher, thanks for being with us.
Good to be back with you, Tamara.
As we mentioned, married priests in the Amazon could happen if the Pope agrees with the summit's recommendations, but only under limited circumstances. What's the background? And if the initiative proves successful, could it set a precedent worldwide?
Well, that's right, Tamara. In the Synod document that was approved on Saturday, the Synod Fathers recommended to the Pope that under certain conditions, specifically in remote regions of the Amazon, that the pathhood to the priesthood be made open to those who are already deacons. Again, this is limited to certain regions. Now, some of those participating in the Vatican summit said they had hoped for a more universal approach to this issue, but the final document expressed caution toward that, saying further study would be needed before any sort of universal principle is applied.
Let's turn to another hot button topic, women's role in the church. The Pope is reopening a study of women deacons. Didn't he already do that? And what's the difference now?
So that's right. In 2016, the Pope commissioned a study of both lay individuals and religious to study the historical question of women deacons. That study submitted a report to the Vatican that has been under review by the Vatican's Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith, which is sort of the major theological advisory body at the Vatican. That report has again just sort of sat there, but the Pope has promised further study with additional members, both to look at the historical issue of whether or not women have served as deacons and in sort of what capacity, and also sort of theologically what implications would that have for the future. So while the former commission was perhaps a bit more historical, this one is in theory more future-minded.
Now, Francis had some strong words during a mass celebrating the end of the summit. He called out certain groups. What did he say?
Well, the Pope, both on Saturday and on Sunday at the final Mass, called out, those who he described as sort of elites. He used the gospel of the Pharisee to say those that are obsessed with their own virtue without being mindful of their neighbor have a lot to learn from specifically the poor. And in the context of yesterday's homily, he specifically said the poor of the Amazon have a lot to teach the global church.
Now that the highly anticipated meeting is over, was it successful, and can you tell us what happens next?
Well, I mean, the fact that the final document was overwhelmingly approved, they had to vote paragraph by paragraph, and each paragraph received over a 2/3 majority vote. So that in itself is something new. Pope Francis has held 4 synods, and none have received the, sort of full-throated endorsement that this one did. Now it's up to the Pope to decide what's next. He's going to pen a final document. He says he wants to do it by the end of the year. So, he's going to take all of these recommendations, of which there are many, and he gets the final word.
Christopher White, the national correspondent for the Tablet and Crux, thanks for being with us today from the Vatican.
Good to be with you, Tamara.
The controversial Amazonian statues representing Mother Earth have been found safe and sound. The images were stolen from a Rome church that served as headquarters for indigenous people during the Amazon summit. The thieves threw the statues into the Tiber River after some conservatives had condemned the icons as unholy idols. The Pope is now saying Italian police found the statues in the water undamaged. And as Bishop of Rome, he's apologizing for the incident. A pioneering Brooklyn priest is on the road to sainthood. Monsignor Bernard Quinn faced tough and sometimes violent odds to make life better for Black Catholics in the Brooklyn diocese. Now the Vatican is taking up his case. Currents News' Tim Harfman has more about the holy man.
Monsignor Bernard Quinn was a champion for Black Catholics, facing down the KKK during the early 20th century. Now the Brooklyn priest is getting attention from the Vatican and could become a saint.
There's a saying that it happens in God's time. If it's meant to be, it will be kind of nice.
Monsignor Paul Jervis dedicated years making sure Monsignor Quinn is properly recognized. He says the Brooklyn Diocese will present Quinn's case to the Vatican next month. Monsignor Quinn celebrated Mass in Latin throughout his priesthood. At Brooklyn's St. Francis St. Blaise Parish, Auxiliary Bishop James Massa presided in Latin to honor Quinn.
He is just an incredible example of priestly zeal, love for the Mass, and love for the poor among us.
Monsignor Quinn founded St. Peter Claver Church in Bedford-Stuyvesant, the first parish for Black Catholics in the Brooklyn Diocese. He also founded a school, community center, and a medical clinic. On Long Island, he founded an orphanage, which the KKK burned down twice. Quinn built it a third time to serve Black children.
He was a white priest, but he was regarded as a champion of their rights.
Quinn died in 1940 at the age of 52. Right now, he's a servant of God, a major step to sainthood. The next stage, venerable, means his heroic virtue is recognized by the Pope. Monsignor Jervis says there's no timetable when the Vatican will make its decision. In Prospect Lefferts Gardens, Tim Harfman, Currents News.
Now for the latest on ISIS. The terror group already has a new man in charge after a U.S. Special Forces raid over the weekend. The new boss is Abdullah Kardesh, according to intelligence officials in the region. Kardesh used to work for Saddam Hussein, and he's known as the Destroyer. He had been running day-to-day operations for ISIS before Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was taken out on Saturday. Rubble and ruins are all that remain where U.S. Special Forces conducted the raid to kill the world's most wanted man. Images obtained from a local cameraman in northwest Syria show the scene. Nick Payton-Walsh has the story.
It was the hardest of places to get into and hardest to guess he'd be hiding in. This is all that's left of where the world's most wanted man hid, possibly for weeks. Much of intelligence value whisked away, flattened to rubble by repeated airstrikes. Cleared up, it seems, by the Islamists who control the area. We obtained these images from a local cameraman, able to function in a region where Al-Qaeda are strong, but where, elsewhere, civilians are bombed too often for life to be normal. 2 of the dead here collected and taken away. Shells litter the area, perhaps from the 8 helicopters that arrived here in the dead of night before US commandos blew holes through the compound walls. Ahmed was woken just before 11 p.m. local time and was shocked to see helicopters hovering about 150 meters up. 90 minutes later, a blast follows. Doors and windows of houses as far as 1 kilometer away were completely shattered, he said. We waited until sunrise before we came here, and we saw the bodies of the martyrs, women and children, body parts, about 6 to 7 dead. In the morning, we heard that Baghdadi was here, but people living here thought displaced people from Aleppo lived in the house, working in the cattle and grain trade. No one knows, he said, exactly what happened. Somewhere below this dust is the tunnel where President Donald Trump said Baghdadi blew himself up, killing his 3 children with him. But by dawn, there was so little left to pick over here. Baghdadi's sudden end as fleeting as his appearances in the world he cursed with radicalized violence. Nick Payton-Walsh, Erbil, Northern Iraq.
Freshman California Representative Katie Hill is resigning from Congress and vowing to fight what she's calling revenge porn. The resignation comes after websites published nude photos of her, along with reports alleging she had improper relationships with members of her staff. Hill blamed her husband, whom she's divorcing, the right-wing media, and Republican opponents for what she calls a smear campaign. She admits to having a sexual relationship with a campaign staffer and has apologized for it. There's a lot more still ahead here on Currents News. Wildfires and hurricane-force winds are fueling a state of emergency in California. We'll have the latest update.
One priest treated to a special performance for his very first World Priest Day. I'm Emily Druby, and that is ahead.
Plus, how Catholic high school students are honoring the dead with a colorful celebration of life. Out-of-control wildfires and hurricane-force winds are creating a state of emergency in California tonight. New flames broke out this morning in Los Angeles And farther north, another fire has forced nearly 200,000 people out of their homes. Connor Powell reports the latest on the chaos.
California officials across the state are taking this fire season very seriously.
It's a dangerous season right now.
Firefighters are preparing for that next wind event that's coming.
The Getty Fire, just the latest wildfire to break out in the state, started overnight next to the 405 freeway in Los Angeles, quickly consuming more than 500 acres.
We have over 500 firefighters that are on the line right now in some of the most challenging topography of Los Angeles.
And as the fire forces some road closures, officials are urging residents to be prepared to leave at a moment's notice.
If they say evacuate, evacuate. If you are in the areas for a potential evacuation, get ready, get set, and if you want to go, go now.
Others working to evacuate some of the animals in the area as quickly as possible.
We have on any given day 60 to 100 horses, and they are all leaving.
Along with the Kincaid fire in the north, the Tick fire near Santa Clarita, and a number of other fires, tens of thousands of acres are burning in California, and all coming during a time of extremely dry conditions and very high winds.
We have not had any significant rainfall for a period of time. So that's why we're very, very concerned about these weather conditions.
In Los Angeles, Connor Powell, Current News.
Tonight, the shrine dedicated to Our Lady of Lourdes is facing a crime wave. Cops are saying there's an explosion of pickpockets plaguing the world-famous Marian site. About 6 million pilgrims visit Lourdes every year. Many are disabled, seeking cures for their afflictions or the strength to endure the suffering. And thieves are targeting them. Pickpocketing has more than doubled in the last year. Security is being beefed up and more cameras are being installed. Over at the Vatican, Pope Francis is encouraging protesters in Lebanon to continue challenging the government. He's praying for the country to respect the dignity and freedom of every person. Protests began in Lebanon 10 days ago when the government announced a new tax on internet-based phone calls. The country has high levels of debt and low employment. And the secret archives of the Vatican are no longer a secret, at least in name. The Holy Father announced he is changing the title of the collection of important papers from secret to apostolic. His explanation for the decision, he wanted to get rid of the negative connotation the word holds. The Pope proclaimed the title change will take effect immediately. With the conclusion of the Amazon summit, it's now up to the Pope to decide if married men will be ordained to serve the rainforest. At the same time, the church everywhere is celebrating World Priest Day. Kids at a Brooklyn Catholic academy are saying thank you to their spiritual fathers. For one priest, the occasion is especially meaningful. It's his first. Currents News' Emily Druby reports.
We love our priests. St. Athanasius Catholic Academy students spreading that message through song, prayer, and gifts to celebrate World Priest Day, when parishioners worldwide have a chance to show gratitude to those who have committed their lives to the Lord through the priesthood. For one priest, the gesture is extra special.
This parish has done so much to help me feel at home, and so today was completely amazing.
Father Edwin Ortiz was ordained back in June and has been serving the faithful at St. Athanasius, including the students. They've become a beloved part of his ministry.
A lot of times the mentality is, oh, the youth aren't interested, and it's quite the opposite. They're actually very interested. I'm just happy I'm able to be there.
The feeling is mutual. The kids light up when Father Ortiz walks into the room. Students say their priests are central to the school community.
If we need something, they're always going to be there for us, and they always listen. We love them and we care for them no matter what.
As people in the Brooklyn Diocese and across the country take important steps to protect children from abuse, a top priority for the clergy is to ensure kids are safe, happy, and connected with God.
It's so touching to see their reflections and their love for the priests in the parish.
Under the guidance of Monsignor Casado, Father Ortiz has been enjoying his first few months as a priest, ministering and teaching, both in the church and in the classroom.
Every day is very different, but it makes it exciting.
Father Ortiz says he looks forward to continuing to help his students strengthen their faith. In Bensonhurst, Emily Druby, Currents News.
A long-lost painting of Jesus has been found, and it's sold for tens of millions of dollars. This pre-Renaissance era painting called Christ Mocked was found in northern France last month in an elderly woman's kitchen. She had believed it was of little value until an auctioneer spotted it and encouraged her to have it evaluated. It ended up selling for $26.6 million, around 4 times what it was expected. Stay with Currents News for more stories that you'll only find here.
Students at one Catholic high school are celebrating All Souls Day in a special way, creating altars honoring those who have died. I'm Tim Harfman, and I'll have more.
And a baby suddenly stopped breathing. What happens next has parents calling him a miracle. It's one of the scariest moments a parent could ever face, when their baby suddenly stops breathing. It happened to parents from the UK, but thankfully their story has a happy ending. They're calling their son Michael a living miracle. After 5 days of being in a coma, the 14-week-old woke up with a smile. Young Michael has been diagnosed with a rare tumor that doctors don't know how to remove. His family recently raised money to undergo treatment at Boston's Children's Hospital, where doctors think they can help. They're planning a trip in April, but in the meantime, they're just enjoying their time with their little miracle from above. Finally tonight, there are 2 important days coming up for Catholics, one honoring saints and one honoring souls. On Saturday, Catholics worldwide will remember departed loved ones on All Souls Day. A Queen's Catholic Academy is ahead of schedule. Currents News' Tim Harfman reports from Jamaica Estates.
Like symbols.
Students at the Mary Lewis Academy are celebrating All Souls Day early and in a unique way. They're decorating makeshift altars known as ofrendas.
The tradition is to honor your loved ones who have passed away. So the idea is that you put a memory of them on the ofrenda.
Ofrendas, or offering in Spanish, are known as a Mexican custom celebrating the Day of the Dead and recognizing loved ones are in heaven.
They celebrate the whole day. They go to the grave, they clean it, they have picnics, they talk to their loved ones, they eat together. It's a whole ceremony, it's a whole day ordeal.
The all-girls Catholic high school in Queens created ofrendas honoring the patrons of their 4 academic honor societies: Mother Mary Lewis, Mother St. John Fontbonne, St. Teresa of Avila, and Mother Frances Xavier Cabrini.
Mother Cabrini is definitely a woman of strength, faith, and dignity. She assisted Italian immigrants. She created 67 different institutions, whereas they were hospitals and different schools. So I definitely think that she's very important to us.
And each student had the opportunity to create her own ofrenda necklace. It's a tag with photos and decorations of people they admire. One person, Vincenza Julian, is honoring her uncle, Vinny, a first responder on September 11th, 2001.
He was killed on 9/11, which was also his birthday, and he was a captain in the FDNY. He was promoted posthumously.
Throughout Mary Lewis, decorations graced the hallways. Some students made personal ofrendas in shoeboxes. You can even attend a Day of the Dead celebration in Mexico through virtual reality, all to have a better understanding of cultural traditions while honoring those who have gone before us. In Jamaica Estates, Queens, Tim Harfman, Currents News.
That is Currents News. I'm Tamara Lane. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.